Hey everyone, welcome to the weekly Wednesday update here at Fishy Business. I'm Chuck Mayer, your host, and we're going to go through and show you what new things came in today. But before we do that, we're going to talk about a very special thing, and that would be the August giveaway. Congratulations again to the person who won the 90-gallon last month. We had, I think, somewhere around 1,000 entries into it. If you want to enter for these contests that we have every month, fishybusinesssc.com is where to do it. I think there's 3 different ways for you to get 3 different entries in there. You don't even have to come into the store. All you have to do is go to the website and you can get in the entry to win. Maybe you didn't win the 90-gallon last month, but maybe what you wanted to do is actually win the 125 we're giving away this month. That's right, it's 125-gallon. You can either get it with overflows or you can get it without overflows. So either way, we're giving away a 125 and you can pick the one that's best for you. Now on with the update. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to tell you, there is a new segment that we've added to the weekly update, but it comes at the very end of the video, and it is the first of Richard's wise sayings. So pay attention to the very end of the video where we'll wrap things up and you can get this week's wise sayings from Richard. So the first thing I want to talk about is the new line of food that just came in. To my knowledge, nobody's got it anywhere. This is reef caviar. This is our good friend Francois Nollet from Elos Aquarium has just gotten us some fantastic new frozen foods. I'd love you guys to try. Reef caviar, the fish and reef, which is a reef-based diet for most reef-type fish. And there are a few other things, mini mysis, some spirulina that's just top of the line, and we have new packs of krill, and there's 1 or 2 other things. So make sure if you have, this is primarily geared towards saltwater, but make sure when you come in that you ask about it, because they are different foods than we've had before, and they are target specific type foods for specific types of fish. So definitely check those out when you're in here. Yeah, let's go look at some fish. But before we get to the fish, as I was told, the 300 XL reefer, we just got that put together on the market as well. We have a good stock of Red Sea tanks right now. They are an all-inclusive, high-end, super posh-looking aquarium that looks great in any home or office or just anywhere. Total access to the top. Everything is on the inside together. It's just one of the best tanks that we have, and as we get each one put together, they're making it out to the floor. So definitely make sure when you come in, if you're coming in just to buy some food or looking at some fish or whatever, you take time to stop long enough to look at the Red Sea line that we have here. And right now, for a limited time, well, not even for a limited time, for permanent time, on the day of purchase of any Red Sea aquarium, you get 10% off of any of Red Sea's stock items, whether it be a pump, whether it be foods, whether it be test kits, whether it be additives, anything like that, even the lights. So anytime you buy a complete purchase, you get 10% off of any of your Red Sea stuff on that day of purchase. So another cool reason to check out the Red Sea line. Now, let's go look at fish. Okay, so hey, it's freshwater time, and Kara has given me her super duper list, and I'm gonna take that super duper list and we're gonna do the tour. So, and the only thing I gotta say about this is probably one of the best freshwater selections we have had since the whole COVID thing started. So we got in a lot of fish that we haven't typically been able to get. So if you're in the freshwater market, this is a good week for you. Okay, starting right now. In honor of my birthday month, July, we have the crab. This is a very, very small Thai Thai micro crabs. These are tiny little crabs that look really cool in shrimp tanks. If you don't have one, if you haven't seen one, or you've wanted one, this is a rare chance we have to have them for you right now. So if you're in the market for something super duper cool, you'd be hard pressed to not have a crab in your collection. Okay, so the other thing that I want to mention is in with the crabs, we have some phenomenal shrimp this week. I never get tired of some of these blue shrimp. and some of the different yellow colored varieties. I really should set up a shrimp tank because they're so cool. And I look at them all the time, even a multi-speckled blue one that's down there. But the Neocardina shrimp are just awesome. And I've got a fantastic selection of a fantastic amount of colors. So if you're in here this week and you've seen something about the crabs, check out the shrimp too. And speaking of shrimp, moving slightly to the left, we got double S grade crystal red shrimps. Every single one of these has a different pattern, it seems, and these are next to the highest level of collectible shrimp that you can get. They are not priced accordingly. They are still priced at the cheap normal price, but their quality of both their color, their size is really phenomenal. And you may also see an mono shrimp moving around in there at the same time. Mono shrimp are great for algae eating, and that's reason enough to pay attention to the shrimp tanks this week. Really outstanding job of getting in some phenomenal fish and shrimp this week. Okay, so in succession, we're going to try to do some of the fancy plecos that came in this week. Kara's been trying to get fancy plecos in every week because we know there's a great market for it for you guys that collect them. And the first on the list is the Gibiceps, one of Richard Bullard and my favorite plecos. The Gibiceps is so cool because its dorsal fin gets really high, almost like a lionfish met with a pleco. It has beautiful spots and modeling of the color all throughout. It gets like an orange phase throughout the body. And again, the finnage on this fish is one of the best, I think, of any of the plecos. It is really a show pleco that isn't a lot of money. So number one on the list as far as plecos. Number two on the pleco list is the Mega Clown Pleco. These are jumbo size clown plecos. If you've ever talked to me here, I think the clown pleco is probably one of the best algae eating plecos, even much better than the normal plecostomus that you typically buy. And it is very visually appealing, obviously. It's got the stripes and the spots and everything, but a great pleco, and these are some jumbo size that we don't typically have. Next on the list is the White Line King Tiger Pleco. I don't know when the last time I had one of these, if ever, but I've got them right now. Beautiful fish, almost mimics a zebra a little bit. Not quite as strong as black and white colors, but a beautiful collectible pleco as well. Next on the list are the albino chocolates that came in this week. These are not an expensive pleco, but they are a pretty cool collectible pleco. And something different if you're going to buy an algae eater for your tank, why not have something that's kind of cool and pops? And these definitely pop. Next on the list is one of my favorite fish. I always show cool dinosaur fish when they come in. The Polypterus senegalis, the Polypterus albino senegalis, and this one right here, which is the ornate Polypterus that came in this week. I only got one, I think, but what a fish. If you've got a tank full of semi-aggressive to aggressive fish, or at least larger fish, this is a fantastic conversation piece. It is neither eel nor rope fish nor catfish. It's its own thing. It's a really, really cool fish. Really makes a statement, and got one of them. Okay, so this week we got something I have not personally seen before, albino Congo tetras. If you've ever heard me talk about Congo tetras, one of the coolest factors or things about a Congo tetra is how elaborate the finnage is, how flowing and how ornate they are when you look at them. As they get older, they have a very flowy, mermaid-type finnage to them. Almost like a butterfly koi, not as extreme of course, but they really do get to be a pretty fish. And I have never seen these albinos, and we have the ones you're looking at for as long as they last. Very cool fish this week to add to your collection in a semi-aggressive tank, planted tank. These are statement makers. Alligator otocinclus. If you've got a small tank, if you've got a planted tank, what's better to eat algae than an otocinclus? Very little. One of the best algae eaters there is for the planted tank, as they won't destroy anything. These are just the coolest because they've got the alligator pattern on them. These always sell out every time we have them, but man, what a cool little fish they are. Who doesn't want a fish you can see through? These glass cats just came in today. They're fantastic in any kind of fish tank where you don't have a lot of aggression. So basically any community tank. This is a really cool conversation piece just because they are a see-through fish. Very cool, easy to keep, and I've got them. Just in also in the semi-aggressive community tank is the Odessa barbs. These always, we sell out of them I think every week that we get them, but a very cool, colorful barb that can go with all your other barbs or any other semi-aggressive fish that you have. One thing I failed to mention earlier, and I want to bring it up to par, are the Chinese high-fin sharks, and especially this guy right here with all the orange on him. I actually put 2 of these in my pond, and they are doing fantastic eating the algae amidst the 100-degree summer heat. They will winter over in most cases. So if you want something that's cool for algae eating in a pond, while they're not going to eradicate bad algae conditions in an outdoor pond, that is what they feed on. And they are cool. There's one of the 2 I put in there came to the surface one day just eating the algae on the side of the pond, and that dorsal fin hit the water, and it was almost like having a tiny dwarf shark swimming around in my pond. It was kind of cool because I've never used them in pond applications. They can be used in regular fish aquariums as they are a Chinese goldfish, so to speak. But as you can see in with the Yamabuki Ogon, they are perfectly fine with koi, and they are really cool to have something extra in your pond that's kind of cool. Okay, not wanting to show every fish that we got in this week, I would like to mention a couple other things. We have 3 or 4 different types of Corydoras catfish in. I know I said a couple of weeks ago how difficult we were having, or what difficult of a time we were having getting cories right now, and it's a very, very valued fish for the job that they do eating off the bottom and stuff like that. So I've got a lot of cories that came in this week. I got a lot of African cichlids that came in this week. What else? Oh, and the biggest thing is I have a lot of the community schooling fish, like your tetras, your danios, things like that. So this has been, again, one of the best weeks of freshwater fish. I would say at the very least in the last 2 months, maybe the last 3 months, in terms of both variety and quantity. So I got a lot this week. This is a good week to come check out freshwater fish. Now let's go check out what Gracie got in saltwater. This is one of my favorite fish in saltwater, Pseudoballistes fuscus, or the blue line triggerfish. It is just, and it's my favorite for a lot of reasons. It's got great personality. It's incredibly mean, I will say that. But look at that powder blue eye, blue stripes on a yellow body. If you've got an aggressive tank, or you want a tank just to kind of set up for a fish that you want that will live a very long time, have a lot of personality, and make a statement forever and ever and ever, the blue line trigger is one of the coolest fish you can have. Last week, after we shot the video, I sold the Harlequin tusk that night. I've got another one back in stock, so Gracie's really on the hunt to try to get us the coolest saltwater fish we can while availability has been scarce. Right now, she did a great job this week. This is a Harlequin tusk, one of the most colorful, one of the most personal, and one of the hardiest long-lived fish in saltwater. Again, not really a reef-friendly fish, but if you've got a fish only or something to that nature, this is a phenomenal fish to try. Okay, while not a yellow tang, this is the yellow mimic tang. This is a fantastic tang that is very, very hardy. It's kind of a more subdued yellow color, kind of a mustard type color. Very long-lived fish, very hardy, very good first fish if you're in the market for something for a community tank or reef tank. Very safe, very tank compatible with other fish. Super, super fish. Okay, so we love anthias. Anthias are great. You can kind of corral them in your reef tank. They do like to feed on things like mysis and things, and small types of food in the water column itself. Most anthias live off the side of reefs and in plankton-rich waters. These are some very hardy fish in service. Why did I say service? Because I keep them in service. And that's why they're great to have in service. They're also great to have in your tank as well. They're just a good hardy first anthias if you want to try that. They are part of the perch family of fishes. They are really, really cool. Okay, so we got a lime green Tonga wrasse in. This is a wrasse we haven't had a lot of in the past, and it is part of the Thalassoma wrasse group, which means it is an aggressive non-reef safe. It would eat invertebrates. It's not going to mess with corals and things like that, and it's certainly not going to mess with larger fish. But it is extremely hardy. It's beautiful. It only gets more so as it ages. This is a great wrasse if you've got a fish-only tank, or maybe a tank that you've got some corals in but not heavy on invertebrates. It's a great fish, beautiful fish. The regal blue tang swimming next to it. Look at the weight on this fish. Look at the girth of that fish. They usually don't come in this thick or this healthy, and this guy's been eating a lot everywhere he's been. Phenomenal fish. Though they are ick prone, this is still a great fish to have. A little crazy, but a beautiful fish. One of my favorite fish, a fish that stays out all the time in a reef tank or in a fish tank. And for a first-time anthias, the squareback anthias is number one. It's a very hardy fish once it gets eating and once it gets settled into the tank. This one just came in. It's the perfect size. It's a lot of color for the money, and it's a fantastic fish. Look at the size of this mandarin dragonet. It's rare that we get them in thick and big like this, but man, I think it's probably the most beautiful fish in all of saltwater, other than a shark. But that's personal. The mandarin dragonet is it's a phenomenal fish. We used to couldn't keep them near as well as we do now. If you're willing to buy copepods for them to eat, they can give you hours and hours of pleasure visually just because they're such a beautiful, beautiful fish. I've got more than one too. I think I got two this week. Yeah, there's another one right here in the tank next to it. You can kind of see, not quite as big, but still big. It doesn't have a pinched belly. They're very round. They've got good size and good weight. I think it is the perfect reef fish. I'm the tiniest lionfish in the world. Yes, a tiny, tiny, tiny lionfish we got in this week. If you have a 1 gallon tank, this guy might work for you. In all seriousness, we don't typically get Volitan lions quite this small. This is the smallest. That's my pinky. So that's a pretty, and he has no problem running after it. So he's not afraid at all. This would be a good first pick lionfish. Too cool. I love purple firefish. Purple firefish are very peaceful. They will school together, especially in a big reef tank. I've had very good success with them. Their hardiness value, super, super, super fish, and I've got them in stock right now. Okay, one of my favorite fish, and how do I describe this? These are the pajama cardinals. In and of themselves, a single fish is not that overly, wow, unique. But when you keep them in a school together and realize how they move in a tank, it is one of the few saltwater fish you can school successfully in a tank. And they do really well. They can be very long-lived, and they kind of, I don't know, they just add this naturalistic look to the reef tank. I love them, and I've got them. Okay, so right here we have the possum wrasse. This wrasse is pretty much full grown, as you can see. And well, you can't actually see, so if you look at my hand, you can kind of get an idea of how big that fish is. It would be great for small reef tanks. It's an incredibly peaceful wrasse. I'm sure it has some kind of benefit just because most small wrasses do, whether it's flatworms or things like that. But that's me just speculating. I've just turned the corner and seen it. So let's go to Google and figure that out. But for right now, it's one of a kind because I haven't had it before, and I've got one of them. Okay, so we've got a free 125 we're giving away this month. That's a 125 gallon tank. We've got probably the best freshwater selection we've had in a very long time. The saltwater selection isn't too shabby either. And what I have failed to do on this video is go through all the corals. There are literally so many corals that Richard and Hayden have been bringing in every day. You really will have to pay attention to Instagram or come by the store to see just how many. And for the first time in a long time, our coral tanks are looking the way they used to look 6 months ago. So if you have time this weekend, if you have time tomorrow, come check us out. There is a lot going on. The new frozen foods. And I'll end this with a word from Richard.
Someone just asked me what our guarantee is on plants. I told them that I guarantee there'll be plants tomorrow.